Hi Flosstube friends, it's Sherry, Colorado cross stitcher, back for Flosstube number 7, and I have so many things on my table to show you today. It has been a month since I made my last Flosstube, so if you've watched some of my past Flosstubes, thanks for coming back. If you're new, welcome. So today I have 5 new framed pieces. I have fully finished pieces that I did, and I have some new starts, and I totally blew my last plan out of the water. So if you're binge watching some of these, and I said I was doing 3 houses, I did not do 3 houses. But let's jump right in. So the question of the day last time was, when do you put up your Christmas decorations? And a few of you said before Thanksgiving. Quite a few of you said Thanksgiving weekend. Some of you said a couple weeks before Christmas. A few of you actually said like Christmas weekend, but a lot of you felt like I did this year, which is let's get it up as fast as we can because we need the lights and the pretty and the bright and the fun things. So it was fun to read your answers, and so thanks for participating in that. That was great. So I think this year we might actually take a ride in the car and look at Christmas lights. I don't know, we haven't done that since the kids were little. We used to have this house in our neighborhood that every square inch of their lawn was covered with decorations. Some were light up, some were just the cardboard, or that, not cardboard, the wooden painted figures, and I mean it was just unbelievable. And one year the house across the street put a big mirror up in their lawn. It was so funny just to, mirror how beautiful that was and get some of that. Anyway, it was really cute. But we missed that, and we haven't done a drive around forever. So I think we're going to do that this year. And I know you have to take hot chocolate and cookies. So I was thinking about hot chocolate. What is your favorite hot chocolate? Do you have a favorite mix that you use? Do you have a favorite place that you buy your hot chocolate from? The best hot chocolate I've ever had came from a place called Insomnia in Dublin, Ireland. And I know there are at least a couple people in Ireland who watch this. And it was so good. Our son Danny was over there for 3 months for work, and I went to visit him, and we went and got hot chocolate. And we were sitting and talking, and I took a sip, and I was telling him a story, and I stopped and took a sip and started talking again, and then when that taste hit me, I stopped mid-sentence and looked at the hot chocolate, and I said, oh my gosh, this is so good. It was so good. So I think we had it every day when I was there. It's a good thing I don't live in Dublin because that would be dangerous. So tell me your favorite hot chocolate place or your favorite hot chocolate recipe. And then cookies. Like, what is your favorite Christmas cookie? For me, every year I make frosted cookie cutouts. I made them for the first time in February of 1990, and I know this because our daughter Julia was born then, and Danny, our son, who was about 2.5 at the time, he and I spent the weekend making this new recipe, Valentine cookies, for all of our neighbors and his little friends. And then I ended up having Julia 11 days early. She was born on Valentine's Day. And the next morning in the hospital after she was born, all I could think about was these cookies. And I was craving these ridiculous sugar cookies. After you have a baby and you can eat whatever you want because nothing bothers you anymore, all I wanted was these cookies. So I made Paul go home, and not go home, but bring them to me the next time he came in. Bring me some sugar cookies. So I always make those. I don't always make them for Valentine's Day anymore, but I always make them for Christmas. But the biggest family favorite probably is mint sugar cookies. And I have had a hard time finding mint chocolate chips the last couple of years. It's crazy. We used to be able to buy them, and they were chocolate colored and mint flavored. And now, I guess the last couple years, you can find a mix of white chocolate and green chocolate chips that are mint. It's not the same. This year I couldn't find any. Last year I went around to 3 stores and I was able to find some. This year there were no mint chocolate chips to be found. So I had to order Andy's Mints Pieces. I think that's what it's called. It's for baking. So it's like chopped up pieces of Andes mints. And I like those. It's a little strong flavoring, so I 1.5 times the dough recipe, so it's not quite so much mint in the cookie, but they're so good. We make those every year. And I am going to link both recipes in the box below because I have shared them on my blog. You know, I've told you before I have a yarn shop called The Loopy U, and I blog recipes from time to time, and both of those are on my blog. So I'm going to put the link below in case you would like to check out Julia's sugar cookies. I renamed them to celebrate her being born. And the mint sugar cookies. They're really good. So anyway, best hot chocolate and our family's favorite cookie recipes that I still have to make. I'm making mint sugar cookies this afternoon because our son Danny gets in tonight, and I know he'll want to find some mint sugar cookies in the kitchen. All right, so my plan last time, let's move on to stitching. My plan last time was to do 3 houses. I was going to finish the Feast of Friendship house. I was going to start the Rose Manor or Winter Morn, what is that? With the cardinals, Brenda Gervais, that everybody's doing. I was going to start that one, and I was going to do the house on my G Leger. Now, a comment on my G Leger. I didn't work on that at all this last month, and I'm anxious to get back to that. But if you watched my last video, remember I said I wasn't sure if the person's name was G Leger or Annie because Annie was written in the sampler too. And several of you told me that the word Annie means year in French. And I hate to admit that I took French, did not remember that. And I'm kind of sad that it wasn't stitched by Annie. Oh well. I'm still going to think of that as the Annie sampler, even though Annie means year in French. So G Leger did stitch it. And we'll just forget the Annie part. All right, so I didn't work on that. I did not start the Brenda Gervais because I see so many people have started that on Flosstube, and I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on this. Do you like to see a lot of people working on the same things when you watch Flosstube? Or does that get boring and you'd rather see people working on different things? Or is it fun to see the variety of people working on the same thing but different fabrics and sometimes, you know, different thread colors? And I don't know, I kind of got out of the mood to do it. I've loved seeing everybody else's, but I think I'm going to put that off a little bit, which is silly because I got it 2 years ago at the Shepherd's Bush retreat. I should have made it way back then. I was super in love with that pattern then, and I still love it. So I did one house, and then I got carried away with other stuff. So let me show you what, I don't even know where everything is. Oh, here it is. Okay. Feast of Friendship. It's a blackbird, and a lot of people have been working on that. And I changed out Feast of Friendship to Peace and Plenty. I changed the color of the initials. And actually, if you saw a previous, when I shared this previously, I decided against the color I had done it in, took it out and did it in a different color. And then the house is actually, it calls for 3 different blues, but I changed it to 1 blue. And now you're going to ask me what blue that is, and I can't remember. It might be, I don't know. I'll have to try and figure that out. Okay, so I did finish that one. I love the border on this one. I love the checkerboard roof on the house. I did put Peace and Plenty in there. I changed the, like I said, I changed the initials to a different color. The original was done in a gold, so I changed that. And I originally did it in that one of those pink colors from the berries, thinking I wanted to bring that brighter color down, and then I decided it was too bright and it really didn't go with the rest of the look. Could you see that through the light? I don't know. Anyway, it was a fun one to do. I'm glad it's finished. Somebody said there are like 5,000 stitches in the house, and I enjoyed doing the house. I didn't mind that at all. So that was fun. So that is one of my finishes. And then I just got squirrel vision because I just didn't want to do any more houses. I got a special little kit from Shepherd's Bush. I'll show you that right now. So I'm signed up. I was signed up to go to Shepherd's Bush retreat this past October, and of course they had to cancel due to COVID. And so it's going to be next year in October, and I cannot wait to go to that. And tell me in the comments if you're going, because I would love to meet you if you're going to go. The sweetest thing though, they sent us all, people who had signed up and paid our deposit, they sent us all a kit in the mail, like last week or 2 weeks ago, and they designed this adorable pattern, and it says "Home is where we stay 2020," and they sent the fabric and they sent the threads. And when I get kits like this, I always punch holes in the side of the pattern and just add the, I'm not going to show you the inside because the pattern's in there, just add them right there on the pattern. And so I finished that and put it in a frame that I've always loved and never known what to put in there, and it was just perfect for "Home is where we stay in 2020. Isn't that sweet? It was like one night it took. I mean, it was just the quickest little stitch, and I love how it turned out. And it's so Shepherd's Bush in the design. So that was one of the things that took my attention away. And then I also did Jolly St. Nick and Rudolph, stitching with the housewives. And I did this on 32 count limestone Lugana. Let's see if I can put a piece of paper behind there. It was really fun to stitch. It's one of the whimsical holiday things that I like to do sometimes. I haven't decided how to finish it. Well, I think I'm going to flat fold because it's not a standard size the way I did it, and so I got to change that. I did outline the present on the bottom because the white was getting a little lost in the green fabric. But it was super fun to stitch. Just a warning. What did I do with that? Just a warning on the red. I used full skeins of the Classic Colorworks or whatever it calls for, and I almost ran out of red on this. And I think they did it on their 28 count Monaco, which they do stitch 2 over 2, right? Now that I say that, I did stitch 2 over 2 on 32 count, but if they're stitching 2 over 2 on 28 count, they should be using even more red than I used. So, I don't know. Well, here it is. This is how much red I had left. One little bit. There's 4 strands of the 6 strands left in there. So just beware, if you're doing this very adorable pattern, you might need an extra skein of Rudolph red for finishing, depending on your finish size. All right, so I did those 2, and then I decided to do this one. I think I got this pattern from the attic just recently. And I wanted to do that, but you know what? I did not want to do that big 2020 on there. I don't know. You know, I've commemorated 2020 in some of my pieces this year, and I do usually put the date in my pieces, but I just didn't want it that big on this piece. So I left it off, and I filled in some extra leaves. And so I did it on 25 count 1 over 1. I can't remember the name of the color of the dye of the fabric, but I got it from Luminous Fiber Arts. And then I got this box at Hobby Lobby and painted it green, and then cut a piece of foam board to put the top on. And you know, it's my finishing. It's not perfect, but it's perfect enough for, you know, our house. It's fine. So it was really fun to do. I love the size, how it turned out. And I did change all the colors because I just pulled whatever I had. I didn't want to wait for floss to arrive. I was just too anxious to get it done. So it was super fun, and I love how it turned out. So that's a fun finish. also. And let's see, what else did I do? I am going to share my works in progress with you now, and then I've got a lot of finishes to show you. All right, so I started Quaker Christmas 2, which is this. And is that one of the worst pictures on a pattern? I mean, I don't know what the dark spot in the corner is. I don't know what the dark line across the bottom is. You can't even see the whole picture. It's just the weirdest thing. And I'm sure the designers at Bygone Stitches would say it hasn't stopped them from selling one copy of it because it's a beautiful pattern, and I totally understand that. But boy, that's crazy. So here's my start. And I am doing this on 36 count Lakeside bisque, and I'm using sulky threads. It takes so much thread. I think it said 50 yards of red. And that is, I don't even know what it calls for, but it was it's either DMC or Fancy Floss. And that was going to be so expensive. Well, the sulky, I bought 8 spools of the red and 2 spools of the green, and I think I'll have extra of each one. And I love the coverage of sulky. It's their 12 weight. I love the coverage of sulky on 36 count. So that was a fun start. Just started that this week. And I was also going to show you, remember I told you about the one, several people have mentioned it, I think Pam and Steph were the originators. These magnetic ties, I think they're called magnetic cord ties or something on Amazon. They come in a big gigantic pack. There's 2 sizes. This is the most useful size in my opinion. And I was going to show you how I use them. So I use Hardwick hoops, and I like the 6-inch size because it's small enough that it doesn't get very heavy. What I love about these hoops is it doesn't leave big hoop marks. So I was going to show you how I use those ties because I tried to demonstrate last time. So typically I'd have all of this flopping around fabric on my lap to work around. And before, what I did was I'd fold it and I'd fold it, and then I would fold it sideways and roll it up, so I'd end up with this, like holding it like this. But that's still bulky, and every time I want to switch out my thread or whatever, then I have to refold the whole thing. So with these ties, you can just put one there. Can you see that? It magnets to the back, magnets to itself. And then I would probably continue to fold this up, which is what I've been doing, and use a second one on the top, like this. And then I can just set it down when I need to change my thread. And there's plenty of room for me to work there. I do have an 8-inch size of this type hoop, but I just find myself grabbing this one all the time. So that's how you use those little cables to hold your extra fabric, and probably a lot of people make it look a little neater and more glamorous, but I just really am not that worried about that. So this is a great one. I do want to get a 6-inch square of that Hardwick frame. I think I would really like that too. That would give me a little more space. Hang on. Allergies. Every time I cough in the shop when I'm working, you know, we all wear masks, we all do sanitizing all the time, we're being super careful, but every time I have to cough or clear my throat, I feel like I have to say it's just allergies. Not the COVID, just allergies. All right, so that was a start, Quaker Christmas, and then remember I said I wanted to do this one, which I have apparently wanted to do for 29 years because this magazine came out in '91. I'll show you the cover. I also always like the thing on the cover. Cross Country Stitching. This is December of '91. And I completely changed all the colors that I'm doing it in, and I didn't even really plan it out. I'm just stitching each mitten as I want to, using whatever colors. So here's where I'm at on that. And that has been a lot of fun to stitch. The first one I did was that I did iron this. Sometimes linen is so hard to get nice and smooth, isn't it? All right, so I started on the R in the middle using the colors, not the called for colors, but the color scheme that they had called for. And it's not my favorite mitten. I'm just going to call it the mitten of many colors because it's going to stay. But from then on, I just did each mitten in the, 10 or 12 colors I had picked to kind of go along with the called for colors. But I wanted to update it a little bit. Sometimes the colors in the 90s were very 90s looking. So anyways, that was a fun one to start, and I will for sure finish that before Christmas and probably do a flat fold kind of a finish on that one. All right, what else do I have for you? Let me look at my notes. Oh, and that one has backstitching. I haven't done a lot of backstitching in a while, but I did bring an oldie but goodie to show you that is just so much backstitching. All right, so I did this country cats. I love cats. I love dogs too. I love all animals, but I wanted to do that big country cats project, and this is one that I did while I was in college, or just out of college maybe. And look at all that back stitching, for crying out loud. But you know what? A lot of times I just feel like back stitching really makes the piece, doesn't it? Just makes things pop. I have another finish that I did this week that I want to show you that has back stitching in it. So I was really, really happy to get that one done. That was a big project. I'm sure I did it on 18 count Ada probably. It was a lot of cats, but it was fun. I have it hanging down in my sewing room. And then another one with a lot of back stitching, and I don't know what I did with this book. I think I still have it. It was a snowman book. Anyways, I finished it quite a long time ago, but I framed it this week because I've always wanted to frame it. I'm a big snowman person. And if you follow me on Instagram, you saw my snowman collection, which I know is ridiculous. I started collecting snowmen probably in the 90s, and I had a lot of friends who knew that I collected and gave me wonderful snowmen through the years. And I think about them every time I pull out their snowmen. I can remember who gave me what. And it just kind of grew over time. But it's crazy out of control. I have no more space on all of those shelves. And I try and buy one each year, and now I can only buy the little itty bitty ones because that's all that will fit in my shelf. So I am Colorado Cross Stitcher on Instagram if you want to see. And actually, I'll put it in the one of the beginning pictures of this video too, so you can get a glimpse of it. But anyway, I did this particular piece a long time ago, probably in the 90s, maybe the early 90s. Well, I don't know, whenever it came out. I probably did it pretty much right away, and I've always loved it, and I love how it framed up in the black frame. I think that really sets it off. So that's been fun to have done for the past week. So that's another one of my finishes. And then I did a few more frames on my own, which is not my favorite thing to do. So I'm going to show you those, and then I'm going to show you the ones that I got professionally framed. Okay, this one, I don't know the pattern for this, but it is another one that I finished probably in the 90s. I've always loved it, and look how perfect this frame is for that piece. Isn't that great? I got that frame at Hobby Lobby. Basically, I buy all the primitive chippy looking frames at Hobby Lobby in the different sizes because I know I'll use them sometime, but I can't believe how well that color matches that bottom heart. So that one was fun to get done. And then I finished Button Up. And I framed it, and I shouldn't have framed it because actually, remember this is the 30 count Murano in Wedgwood Blue. I don't even know that they sell it anymore. That I got like 30 years ago in my local needlework shop. And I love the blue with this pattern, but the fabric itself was kind of warped, or I don't know, fabric can't warp. It was skewed. So it was the devil to get straight in that frame. And I know the frame's not the perfect size. You know what? I love it anyways. I love how it turned out. It just reminds me of a lot of happy times in the snow. I did change the saying, so I put button up to the chin, watch the snow day fun begin, because to me, the word snow day is always fun. I used to be a teacher, and you always wanted that call that you were going to get a snow day. And that represents all of the fun activities you can go out and do on a snow day. So I love how that one turned out. Also framed from Hobby Lobby. So, and then another old one, and this is a sad tale. And I know I could sew, probably what I should do is sew fabric onto this. This is a piece from one of the cross-stitch magazines from long ago. It was on the cover that I did. I still love the piece, but I cut it with no border because I wanted to put it in a ready-made 11 by 14 frame. And I originally thought I was going to make it into a quilted wall hanging. And then I thought, no, I know I have a little plastic 11 by 14 frame. I'm just going to pop it in there for the season, and then I'll figure out what to do. And I think what I need to do is, because this is the size of it, I mean, it lays right in there, right up to the edge. There's no wraparound fabric on the back. So I think what I need to do is sew extra fabric on that would let me wrap it around, but I still love the piece. It's really fun. Okay, you know what else I did this past week is I made cinnamon apple ornaments. Have you guys ever made these? So they're super fun. So here's the recipe. Twos, think in twos. 2 cups of applesauce, 2 cups of cinnamon, mix it together, roll it to about 1/4 inch thick. You don't want to roll it too thin because when it dries, the edges will lift up. So 2 cups of cinnamon, 2 cups of applesauce, mix it together, roll it out, cut it out. I used stars and hearts. And then you're going to bake it at 200 degrees for 2 hours. See, it really is all about the twos. 200 degrees for 2 hours. And then you're going to put them out on cookie sheet drying racks or whatever you have and let them further dry for 24 hours. I wanted to tell you a story about these because I made these probably 25 years ago. And I think back then, I'm pretty sure you put Elmer's glue in the recipe. So these would be technically edible if somebody took a bite out of them thinking they were cookies. I mean, you would immediately spit it out because all that cinnamon. But you know, with the glue ones, you certainly weren't going to want to do that. But I think the glue actually made a smoother kind of an ornament because these are pretty rustic looking. I just wanted to make them to tie on packages, and I put some on one of my jars back there and then lid, and they just smell so good. Of course, it smells so good when you bake them. But when I made them 25 years ago, I dried them in the oven, and I must not have had cookie drying, what are those called? What are those grids called? When you make cookies and you put them out, cooling racks. I must not have had those because what I did after I dried them in the oven is I took a roll of paper towels and I lined it all along the edge of our dining room, and I put all of these ornaments on the paper towels to leave them out to dry for a couple days, which was all well and good, except when I gathered them all up when they had dried and I took up the paper towels, there were heart-shaped brown spots all along the wall on the carpeting. So apparently they weren't dry enough to be putting on paper towels on the carpeting. And we tried everything to get those spots out. Nothing worked. We actually had to replace the dining room carpeting when we sold the house, which was like a year later. Couldn't believe it. Those were very, very expensive ornaments. So don't do that. Find a rack that you can put it on or something. I mean, even if I had put them on wax paper, they wouldn't have gone through to the carpeting. Anyways, I haven't quite lived that down with my family yet. So, all right, now I have 2 more things. Well, I have 5 more things to show you because I got 5 things back from the framer. And then I'm going to show you haul, and then I have a giveaway, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So I took 5 things into my L&S. My L&S is Country Crafts in Greeley, Colorado. Sherry is the owner. She does a beautiful job of framing, and I was so excited to pick them up this week. So I had, let's see, 3 Christmas ones framed. And so this is the first one, and this is the make sure it's not glary, because I do put glass on my frames. I don't know, I just feel like it's more finished and more protected when I add the glass. And of course she adds the little spacers in there so the glass is not resting on your piece. I think the book is 'Tis the Season, right? From Blackbird. And on this one I changed the bottom. I just carried the half snowflakes that are over on this side. I carried them along the bottom because there's French wording in there. I think they also give you the English translation if you want to do it English in English words. Joyous Noel. But I just replaced it with the half snowflakes. And I love this piece. I did it on, I think it's a 16 count Aida, and I don't remember the color because this was of course before I was floss tubing and needed to remember all of those details. But I love how it turned out. I like how the gold mimics the yellow color of some of those leaves. And now that I've shown it to you, I'm anxious to hang it up in my house. So that was the first one. And then I got this Silver Creek sampler done. I gotta hold it back here and then I'll hold it up close. And this one also done on, that looks like 25 count. Could that be 1/1? I don't know. I'm keeping better track now. Anyway, Silver Creek samplers pattern. And it was so fun to stitch because there were a lot of points where you felt like you had a finish because each word was a finish, each icon was a finish. And the only thing that I changed on this one was I wanted to put the word joy in there because that's such a word for the seasons for me. And so right between peace and goodwill here, I added the word joy. And that was something Laura left a comment and asked me if I would talk about my process for changing things in a pattern. So for example, adding the word joy in here or changing my Feast of Friendship to Peace and Plenty. And then I have another, well, 2 more pieces that I've changed. And she asked me if I do the design on my computer, if I do the computer program, if I use graph paper. Most of the time I just use graph paper. I don't know how to use that computer program. It is one of my goals to learn how to do max stitch, but for right now I just don't have the time to put into learning something like that. And so I use regular old graph paper. I don't go into each piece that I'm going to do with a thought that I'm going to make a change. But you know, usually somewhere in the middle of stitching I think, they don't have the word joy in there. I want to add that in. Where could I add that in? Or, you know, how can I combine these pieces into one long piece, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Or I don't know that I really like the bottom of this. What can I change that to? And I always try and make it something meaningful to my family or our life or something that resonates with us. You know, the Feast of Friendship, and I love Feast of Friendship, but frankly 2020 I feel like has not been a feast of in-person friendship. It's definitely been a feast of online friendships, but I just, you know, I've always loved peace and plenty, because to me that means we've been blessed with plenty. We have peace, you know, that comes from above, and I just love peace and plenty. So that seemed like a perfect thing to do with a basket full, overflowing with, you know, goodness and fruit. And so I love that. But I don't usually pre-decide on those things unless it's something important, like I really have to figure out how to get all this into the one thing. And so I'm just going to show you this one right now, because it's probably my favorite one. I showed this on my first video. This is Brenda Gervais' Schoolhouse series. Is that what it was called? Schoolhouse? It was 4 different patterns. And she showed it all done up in pillows, which were beautiful. But I looked at that and thought I really wanted to do that all in one. And so this is a piece where I did have to think about that ahead of time. And I originally got my graph paper out and thought, well, I'm really going to have to re-graph the whole thing. And then I soon thought, that's a waste of time. I'm just going to stitch it, and I'll stitch it and fill in where I need to. And so the man and the woman on there, I knew I wanted to switch those around, because in the design, he was actually facing the other direction. So he wasn't facing the lady. He was over here and the lady was over here. And I thought, well, I kind of want them facing each other. And it's funny, when I went to the Shepherd's Bush retreat, I was talking to Brenda about this design and telling her how I was going to do it all as one piece, and that I wanted to switch the direction the man is facing. And she said, well, I actually designed it, had it designed that way too, and then I switched it around. So anyways, I did that, and then of course I had to fill in, and you'll see the house down here. Is it down here? Yeah. The block down here on the end was a lot smaller than the rest of the pieces, so I added in, and I wrote in here, okay, I gotta have my glasses on for this because I made it tiny to fit in. So I wrote in here, stitched in peace in 2020 when the world stood still, but we look up, hope wins. And then I also had to do some fill-in in here because I switched those around. So, but I just all added them in as I went along, figured out what made sense. You know, I figured out that I wanted to put this tree because they were both holding branches from something like that. So it's really not hard once you start in. And you know what? The thing about stitching is, if you do something you don't like, you can always take it out and redo it. So I love how this turned out. I love the frame. I love the size of it. So I'm really, really happy with this one too. There isn't one that I'm not happy with, actually, out of all these pieces. This is another Christmas piece that will stay up all year. This is Christmas Garden. I also showed the finish of this in the my first Flosstube video, but just got it framed and picked up last week. And I did change the colors. I used 4 colors of Victorian Motto sampler threads because I wanted a brighter look to it. And I think the subtle look that they did it in is absolutely beautiful. I just wanted a more vibrant look for this piece for my house. And I did it 1/1 on 25 count Lugana. That Brenda Gervais piece was also 1/1 on 25 count Lugana. And you know what? My favorite pieces that I got back, 1/1 25 count Lugana, that might be just my thing. I really love the coverage of it. I love the look of it. I love the tiny stitches. I just love everything about stitching on that. This is also my last one, 1/1 25 count Lugana, and this is A Savior's Praise by Kitten Stitcher, Shakespeare's Peddler. And I talked about, was it in my last video or 2 videos ago? 2 videos ago maybe, the changes I made, but basically the verse at the top talks about a mother's arms, and so I decided to do this for my daughter. Not that she wants it right now or whatever, but you know, I wanted to commemorate her and all of the women in her life. And I shared before that my grandfather was a minister. One of Paul's grandfathers was a minister. And so I wanted the ministers' wives, our grandmothers, in there. So I put her initials, my mom, both of my grandmas, Paul's mom, both of his grandmas' initials in there. And I used their maiden name initials because I used Julia's maiden name initials. She's not married yet. And then on the back, I'm going to write all of the names of the people. And then I changed the bottom as well. And anyways, I go into all the details of that in, it must be Flosstube number 5 if you're interested in hearing more about that. But I love how this turned out. I can't wait to put it on my walls. And I hope Julia loves it one day when she gets it. So that was another really, really fun one. And I'll never forget, and I have forgotten the name of the person, and if you're the one that said this, please put a comment below. But somebody in either my first or second video talked about finishing and how finishing is honoring the time and talent that you put into the piece. And that just really struck a chord with me because for me, I am a process stitcher. I love stitching. I love the process of making it. And I'm not so much a product stitcher. Like I like having it done, but what I enjoyed about it was the stitching part of it. And having these finished and starting to finish things more because I want to show you guys something, which was part of my motivation for doing Flosstube. It just has really made me realize I'm not just a process stitcher. I am a process and a product finish stitcher because I love having these pieces done. And I will love putting them up in my home. And that just makes a way to enjoy it all the more. You know, you enjoy it when you stitch it, but you love seeing it done on your walls too. So I just want you to remember that, and thank you to whoever made that comment on one of my first Flosstubes about it being a way to honor your time and talent, and I think that's very true. And you know, it is expensive to have your pieces professionally framed. I've pretty much committed, if I can do it in a store-bought frame and I can buy it at 50% off at Hobby Lobby, I'm going to do it that way. But a lot of things I do are not standard frame sizes, and so I'm just going to save my pennies and, you know, focus on getting them done nicely so that I can display them instead of having a box or a container of all the things I've stitched that have never seen the light of day since then. And obviously you loved it when you stitched it, when you bought it, when you stitched it. So I just want to encourage you to get some things finished. All right, I want to talk about retreats. I said that I was going to do that in my last video, and so then we'll do retreats. Then we'll do haul, then we'll do a giveaway. So I have been to 3 retreats. 2 of them were Silver Needle in Tulsa. The first one I went to by myself, and I don't mind going by myself because I figured, you know, I'd meet people there. And it was at the state park in Oklahoma. So that was a little tricksy because I found that in the dark. And it was, you know, dorm kind of rooms, which were just fine. And we had a big stitching room. We got little kits to do during the retreat. And here I thought I was going to go and stitch. And that was, you know, what I was going to do. I was going to stitch my own stuff. But you go and you get little kits to make. And then they had finishing classes, which was great. Then I went back last year to Silver Needle for a Teresa Vanette weekend, and that was held at the shop, and we got a VRBO, and I went with my friend Janice, met my friend Meredith, and that was super fun. And we got I think 2 or 3 kits, and I shared the pincushion that I did the last time, and yes, it was the rice stitch that I was trying to think of, and that was fun. I also went to a Shepherd's Bush retreat, and I will never miss a Shepherd's Bush retreat again. The Shepherd's Bush retreat was more expensive, but it included a lot more things. So you get all kinds of, show you, things when you go there. And I had 3 classes and full kits, full project kits for each one. One of them was with Brenda Gervais, and we got the whole kit for the Winter Manor, or whatever that piece is that I can't remember the name of. And I also took a class with Jeanette Douglas, and I shared that piece on one of my first videos, and we got silks and the fabric and the whole thing for that. And then I took a class with the Blackbird gals and loved the pieces that we did in that, finished those. So it was just super fun. But when we first got there and we registered, we were given this beautiful project bag and a little kit to make the little corner initial. There we go. And so that was the first thing that we did. When we went into the big ballroom, we were all working on our little initials, got the whole alphabet. So that was fun. And then, let's see, I can't remember how this progression went, and I think I'm missing one thing, but one of the nights we got this, a stitching journey pattern, which was a cool idea. So it's a pin cushion, and we got lots of different pattern ideas that you could stitch in different pieces of fabric and attach to your pin cushion. And we got all of the things, all of the little, a bag of little pieces of fabric to do the little icons on. Obviously I haven't done this yet, but I will. Needles, little pins to put in the pin cushion, chenille to finish it. And so that was a fun kit one of the nights. I feel like every night we got some fun thing. And then another night we got this in this pretty envelope. And this one was all of the designers there, and there were 6. So you could pick to go to 3, and you could pick track A or track B. And they each had 6, they each had 3 classes, 6 total. So all of the designers designed a piece of this to combine into one piece. And then we got the, let's see, the little booklet with all of the designs, the flosses, the fabric. So it just felt like every time you turned around, they were giving you another gift. When we went to each of our classes, we got a little charm to put on a scissor pull that was super fun. It was just a really, really well done retreat. Tina and Terry, just perfect. And the last night we had a delicious banquet. Wonderful gift. We got a pair of Dovo scissors. Dovo scissors are awesome scissors. And so if you have a chance to go to a Shepherd's Bush retreat, I highly recommend it. It was just fun from start to finish. And so I wanted to talk about, what do you take to a retreat? I have 2 things that I take. I have a retreat box. Looks like this. And I'll show you what's in my retreat box. I keep my DMC color card, which I got at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or something, just for reference. But then I have all the things, all right, maybe this isn't going to work, hang on. All the things that I might need in classes while I'm there. And that includes something that just fell out, a case of needles. And I have extra needles here. I have a hole punch because I like to punch, you know, I think I showed that other piece where I punch holes in it so I could put the flosses in there, or if I want to punch holes and put things on a ring. I usually have extra rings in here. I have a little notebook from Cavallini, which we sell at our yarn shop, which is the perfect size to fit in there. I've got some of the thread glide. I have a seam ripper in case I need to rip things out. Pencils, pens. I have tweezers because sometimes you need to pick little pieces out with tweezers. I have a glue stick. I'm not sure why. I must have gotten this in a kit at one of the retreats. We must have needed a glue stick. I have fray check in case I need to use that in a pinch. I have extra cards, extra floss cards. I have lotion in a stick for your hands, which I can't get out, so I'm not going to get it out. But a little thing of lotion in there. I've got a tape measure, my grandma's tape measure in there. I've got a needle threader in case I need that. It's a little light up thing. I've got a couple of binder clips. I don't know, you always need binder clips. And now I'm going to put some of those magnetic ties in here because that's a new thing I want to add. So it's just all the little supplies that you might need that you probably will get in your kit, but if you lose it, heaven forbid you should lose your needles. If you lose it or somebody else needs one or you run out, you've got all of this, and this is just a plastic box that I got at Joann's. So that's my retreat box. I also keep this by my stitching chair because it has pretty much all of my needles in it. Now I have two different totes that I take to retreats, and both of these I have at my shop. I'll put links to them below in case you're interested. But I got one of these at the Silver Needle when I was there, and I used this to put my scissors in and a pencil and sometimes my glasses if I'm going to set it down and go shopping, which happens at retreats. So this is a little, what is it called? It's a little handy thing. It's for sewing actually, but it's great for, okay, it's a mini stash and store. It's Sew Emma. So I keep that in my retreat bag. This is a clear tote, has my company yarn shop on the front, the Loopy U. What I like about it is it has a front pocket, so I can keep my toolkit in the front pocket, and so it doesn't get all lost in the middle. And then the middle is big enough for this, which is my light, which I take, and for project bags that I want to put in there as well. And this is actually a knitting needle case that you can get at Joann's, but your daylight halo lamp fits just in there perfect. This is the best lamp for retreats, and they now have a rechargeable one. This one is a plug-in, and the plug fits in the case as well. And what I like about it is it's so well balanced that if you're stitching and you're sitting back in your chair and you want to kind of stitch, not in your lap, but relaxed, not forward on the table, you can actually put this on the table and it will allow you to see through the magnifier if you need the magnifier, even if it's in your lap. And it has three different levels of light in it. And then, of course, what's so nice about travel is it folds up flat to go in your suitcase. And I love that this case holds it all and protects it. And then it fits in my tote bag that I have. And the other tote bag that I take sometimes to retreats is, and I love these bags, and my Attenti bag. And this is a fabric that is not available anymore because they do different fabrics pretty much every season. They repeat some of them. But what I love about this is the size. You can easily fit your light, your retreat box, all of your projects. And it's just nice. It's a great carry-on for the plane. This is an Attenti overnight bag. We also have Bonnie bags that are, a little smaller. But I love this, and the inside is finished really nicely, and it has pockets. And so for retreating, and I hope you guys are planning on retreats in 2021 or sometime, whether it's an official retreat with a stitching shop or a retreat with your friends, it's just nice to have bags to bring all your stuff together. Now, I did mention that I have something I think we all should do, and it's going to require us saving a lot of pennies. But I have always purchased things for our shop from Seju, which is a sewing company in Paris. And I was watching Elena B. and her Flosstube, which she doesn't Flosstube anymore, and I'm so sad about that because she is hilarious. Sister of Olivia B., and I also watch Olivia. She's got great Flosstubes. But Elena went to Paris, and she shared photos of this Seju shop. And I saw that and I thought, what, I've got to get myself there sometime. I'm going to put pictures from their website here. I mean, if you like old wooden things like I like old wooden things, do you just not want to go and spend 5 hours in that shop exploring the drawers, exploring the cabinets, going through everything? So I think that we should all go and do our own stitching retreat in Paris. So who wants to go with me? I think it would be so much fun. Our son was on a business trip in London, in Paris once, and I said, because he likes to explore when he's over in another country, I said, if you happen to see the Seju shop in Paris, can you just take a picture for me? Because, if I can't go, I at least want to know he went. And so he did, because he's wonderful, and he sent me a picture, and then he gave me this for Christmas, which is one of their sewing kits, which has my very favorite pair of scissors came out of this, and it's not in here anymore because I use it all the time. But it has little bobbins of thread, it has needles, tape measure, seam ripper, straight pins, thimble, and then you take this little tray out, and in the bottom are bobbins and thread keepers. Isn't that the best gift? It was so fun. So I am afraid that I would want to spend a lot of money if I ever go to that shop, because you can see in the pictures how wonderful does that all look. But that's going to be on my bucket list, to go to a stitching, not even a retreat. I think I'm going to make it my own retreat, but I just so want to go. So if anybody wants to go, tell me. We'll have to figure it out. We'll have to save our money, but I think it'll be so fun. I'm going to also put a link to a blog from somebody who went there and took a lot of fun pictures. And I don't know this gal, but I came across her as I was searching for it, and I'm going to put her link below too, so you can read about her experience going to the Seju shop in Paris. So it's on my list. All right, quick plans. Well, my plans are, I'm going to finish the mittens. I'm going to work on G. Leger. I'm going to work on the Christmas Quaker. And then I had already planned that my New Year's Day start is going to be the Smith sampler. I showed this last time with vintage metal rue 40 count and the silks. So that's going to be my New Year's start. So those are my plans. I do have some haul, and then I'm going to do the 2 giveaways from last time and the giveaway for this time. I'm sure this is running long. I got fabrics. I got these beautiful fabrics from Luminous Fiber Arts, and let's see, I got 40 count fawn and 40 count heartland, so that's these 2. And then Misty was so sweet. She sent along a fat 1/8 of one of her fabrics, which I was so excited because I've always wanted to try her fabrics. And this is 40 count sparrow. Isn't that gorgeous? I've already put it aside in a kit, ready to use it. I got these 2 mystery fabrics, 40 and 46 count, from my L&S, and she didn't have them labeled, and I don't remember what they were. So I got to take them back to her and ask her what these are. But I was happy to have that. I'm a little paranoid about running out of fabric now with everything going on, so I'm trying to buy fabrics. And then I bought a few patterns. Yeah, I love Teresa Kogut's patterns. I have not stitched any of them yet, but when I saw this pattern in person, it's so beautiful. The colors are so pretty. It's not one that I ordered aftermarket when I ordered the other ones of hers that came out at the same time, but then I saw this and I just think the colors are so pretty. I was happy to find this because I kept seeing this Santa in the navy blue jacket everywhere, and it's a heart and hand pattern, so I want to do that. Probably not till next year now. I ordered this, which is really not my normal style, but isn't that beautiful? Stacy, the 911 Stitcher, shared this on one of her floss tubes, and you can do the color accent in different colors. And I think must be on this website, it shows you different options. And I just thought that is going to be beautiful on my holiday wall. And I probably would leave that up all winter long. I mean, it does have kind of a Christmas tree in there and reindeer, but I still think it's more winter than Christmas. I just love that. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I thought it was so beautiful. And then I ordered from Brenda Keys. So I got this church sampler. I want to do 2 church samplers, the one I shared in my last video and then this one, because I want to put my grandfather's name on one of them and Paul's grandfather's name on another one of them. And I just love that one. And who doesn't need a peacock on the hill next to your church? So fun. Then I ordered this sampler from her because I love all of the stuff going on in the front there. Animals, people. Olivia B. just finished this, and it's just beautiful. And then you guys all should get this book. This is a treasure. The Ultimate Sampler Motifs Source Book from Brenda Keys. She said she worked on this for 10 years. It's absolutely unbelievable. She has, I'm just going to do this because she actually showed one of the pages on her Instagram, chock full of every kind of house, several alphabets, every kind of church, all kinds of people, borders, animals, crowns, boats. I mean, it is, you look through this and you think, okay, that's it, I'm designing a sampler, because it's so inspiring. So this, and I think it was 17 British pounds. What is that, $21 or something? I mean, it is priceless. It was so fun to look through, and it just made my fingers itch and want to start, figuring out some fun designs. So this was a really fun stash. All right, I have 2 winners of these 2 books from last time. And if you did not mean to put the keyword in for winning this, just email me and say, oh, hey, thanks anyways, I don't need that. Because some of the things we were talking about happened to use the word stars and seasons, so I didn't know if you had put it in because you wanted to be entered into this drawing or if you really wanted it. So the Stars of the North book goes to Wendy Bueller. So Wendy, if you email me, my email address is below. I will get this right out to you. And I had done the one on the back, the polar bear looking up. But again, I bought this thinking I had sold it previously, and I came across my copy. So it was an extra copy. Same with this one. Season of Sandcastles, blah. Shelley Nichols. You're the winner of that one. All right. And my giveaway this time is Little House Needleworks Snowflakes. I bought this thinking I was going to make it, and now I'm not going to probably make it, and so I would like to pass it on to somebody. So let's just use the word snow in your comments. If you want to be entered into this drawing, use the word snow. And our question of the day this time is, what is your favorite holiday recipe? And it can be sweet or savory. And if you have a link, if there's a recipe online and you can link to it, great, leave the link for us. But what is your favorite holiday recipe, or your family's favorite recipe? There's some commercial, I think it's McCormick Spices, that's out right now that I think is so sweet, because they talk about how we can't all be together for the holidays this year. We couldn't be together for Thanksgiving, but all of your family members' favorite recipes or special traditional recipes can be a part of your meal. And I just thought, that's so true. I mean, we can have a part of all of the people we love in each of our celebrations one way or another, whether it's one of their recipes or something that they made that you get out every year and you enjoy that, or one of the family traditions that you carry on from your growing up years. We can all be a part of each other's celebrations in one way or another, and hopefully by this time next year we'll be able to get back together in person and things will be a lot different. But in the meantime, we're doing what we can do. And so I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I will be back with another Flosstube in sometime, probably mid-January. And next time I'm going to have pictures of my thread cabinet, my pattern cabinet, my sewing room and my happy wall. So I'm going to work on that for the next Flosstube. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks so much for subscribing. Thanks for your thumbs up. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.